Good evening. Can you hear me out there? No? Can you hear me now? Does it need to be turned up? We okay? Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Meeting's called to order. If we would, welcome to the Palm Beach Town Council regular meeting on September 16, 2020. I think we've been a lot of meetings here, like 3 in a row, I think. Anyway, with that, thank you again for coming. And as we always do in our regular meetings, we will have about a 20-second moment of silence, if we can stand and do that, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As you see, Mr. Serby's not here tonight. I don't know why, but he's not here. Is there a motion to add any additions to the agenda? I'd like to make one. I'd like to make a motion to add something to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's to propose a resolution to rescind Resolution 29-20, which was the intent to develop the Castlewood Eleanor playground thing, until we can get a better handle on what's going on. Because, one, we've already passed the dates, for one, and two, quite frankly, it was my mistake as well. We didn't follow the letter of the bylaws, 5.1, which says that we were supposed to have discussed it at the previous meeting, before we were able to put it on the agenda and make a resolution out of it. Now, I don't know if that's common practice or not. It just as an oversight on my part, and I apologize for it. But I think probably is a good idea at this point in time, because we were going to delay it anyway,
Fine with me.
and bring it back up. It'll come back up eventually sometime anyway. So I think you can put it to rest right now, and then we can move forward from there. But we actually have twofold. One is we need to delay it because we're not ready to actually go through with the resolution. And two, I didn't follow proper procedure according to 5.1. So with that, I'd like to amend the agenda to, how do I want to state that? We want to rescind Resolution 29-20.
Right now, we're just amending the agenda, so you can
That's
just.
right, for now you're just amending.
Okay, so I want to amend the agenda to add the rescinding of Resolution 29-20. There's a motion, a second. Mr. Howard? Mr. Aye. Mr. Lehman?
Aye.
Ms. Roberson?
Aye.
Ms. Schick?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, so the agenda has been amended.
Where is it going?
I'm sorry.
Where is it?
We'll put it,
New business?
new business. Yeah.
At the front or the back?
Beginning.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Lehman?
Aye.
Ms. Roberson?
Aye.
Ms. Schick?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes for August 12th, 2020 work session and August 19th, 2020 regular meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Alger?
Aye.
Mr. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Lehman?
Aye.
Ms. Roberson?
Aye.
Ms. Schick?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Thank you. Okay, council member announcements. Mr. Allen.
I have nothing this time.
Mr. I.
I have nothing at this time.
Mr. Lehman.
Ditto, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Roberson.
I have nothing at this time either.
Ms. Shea.
I wanted to thank everybody that came and participated in the mayoral debate and the candidate debate. I think most of you are in the audience or up here, so I thought both events went really well, and I appreciate all of the people that watched online and attended, and thank them for being involved in and seeing the candidates and the issues. I also wanted to address active listening in our community and how we communicate with one another. I think that we agree as council members to hear concerns from all citizens and try our very best to respond and do that, including meeting with them in person at their homes or over the phone or via email or however we're contacted. Not always are the concerns of the citizens fed to us in a formal manner. They are in different ways. I know that there is a very divisive post out there that I have actually not read because I've had my Facebook off for a couple days, but from a group of concerned citizens about the recension of the 2920, and we are actively listening and working with you and looking into this issue and resolving it. I want to clearly explain that there has been transparency and we have talked about this, and that these issues have been talked about many, many times. There's grants that were applied for before my time. There were many things, and if you have clarifications, if you get documents, they don't always tell the whole story of the whole process, because lots of things happen in meetings or over the phone or in person with different members of council. Come ask us. Come talk to us. We're here. I answer your phone calls. I do. And I call you back. And I'm happy to do that. I understand when an issue happens in your backyard, or in your community, that affects you. That's important to you. And that we want to hear your concerns, knowing that the whole community has a lot of priorities at need. I want to communicate both ways, not be bullied one way or the other, but have good communication in both directions that is productive. Help us, help you. I want to put things in perspective. We have been dealing with a pandemic and COVID. People are antsy, people are upset, people are sick. People are financially stressed, and I know that that has a lot to play into it too. But we're going to get through this together. We are a unified town. We are a good town with lots of good people, and I think you saw that at the debates, and I appreciate that. And so I just want to encourage that we do not have division in this town, that we come together, and that we work together. Work with us, help your elected officials, help you, and we will, move forward one step at a time. So I appreciate that. The other thing that I wanted to just quickly announce was that I was not able to attend the Board of Supervisors meeting. Neither was me because we were at the candidate forum. But I did catch up with Norm, and it seems like county monies got approved, and more COVID money is on its way, and there was a very productive meeting that had a clarification of the rules of that fund and how we can get reimbursed. And I know we'll talk about CARES Act, maybe you'll explain it more at that time. But he also did say he was willing to split the cost of half of the cost of fixing the windows at the library too. So yay for working with the county, and I appreciate the progress that's getting done there. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Real quick, I'd like to thank everybody who showed their civic duties and responsibilities by going to the debates, forums for the mayor and for the council. I thought they were, for the most part, very professional and lively at times and interesting to hear what everybody has to say and everybody's differences of opinions, which are always healthy. I'd also like to say, if you don't know, you probably do, Torrey Smith Park was reopened today. We don't have an attendant. We do have a big sign up there. Hopefully, for those that are age appropriate that can read, they'll understand that we're trying to cover all of our bases from liability standpoints with this COVID, because right now all states are still liable. The federal government has not exempted states from liability for COVID being spread on state or municipality-owned properties. I'd like to thank Rob and Quinn for meeting with Norma Sabi a couple days ago, and continuing the progress of getting this CARES Act money resolved and how it was supposed to be disseminated to the town. And I think we have a much better understanding across the board. I think we were fortunate to get some outside help with that as well, which was also very good. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't just reiterate or add on to a little bit of what Ms. Schick said a minute ago. And we are our whole country is in a big divide at this time right now. It's extremely sad, but it is the way it is, and it's not the first time it's happened in the country. And unfortunately, it takes even more unfortunate circumstances, usually what brings it back around, either a war or a 9/11 or something like that, and all of which I pray that it does not happen, but unfortunately that's generally what leads to bringing people back to what's important, and that is loving each other and treating each other the right way. I would like to say that Colonial Beach is a very small town, and while we all have the right to choose how we want to behave for the most part in our political realm, I would ask everyone not to allow this whole federal election, of presidential election, and all the demeaning media and everything else that goes along with it to crowd your headspace and make you go crazy, because that's what's going on with people right now. We have an awesome little town here that is made up of, it'd be the perfect social science experiment right here in this town. It really would be. And there's a lot of people who are starting to grind against each other. It's very sad, because these are the same people that you would have seen working 2 months ago hand in hand doing something. So with that, I just would like everybody to be mindful. Don't fall prey to all this crap that's going on, what I'm going to call it. The election's going to come November 3rd. There'll be a new president. Who knows who that's going to be? None of us know at this point in time. There's nothing you can do other than go into the booth and make your choice of who you want to vote for. And that's where it should end, right there. So I just hate to see the division going on in the town right now. There's a lot of it, and it's starting to leach out into our little community, into our little local politics, and it really doesn't need to do that at all. With that, thank you for letting me give you my rant. I appreciate it. So on a much more healthy and happier note, we're going to start with presentations, and I'm delighted and excited to offer a 15 years of service presentation for Teresa Davis, our code enforcement officer of the town of Colonial Beach. Teresa, can you come up? I want to say a couple things. If somebody knows something about division, Teresa Davis does. Okay? So she lives a lifetime of presidential elections, like every day, and has done it like a champ. I mean, that is one of the most onerous jobs that there is. It's hard to make anyone happy in that position, but she's done it gracefully, and she's done it with a ton of professionalism, and she's helped Colonial Beach keep its properties up to par. And keeps everybody else's properties up to par, and it supports the town, supports good health for the town as well. And so I, for one, have enjoyed working with you, Teresa. You've done a ton for us. If you could come around here, I'll present you with your plaque, your pin, and a check. I'm gonna pull my mask off because I'm tired of pictures with the mask on, so hopefully, I'll stand 6 feet away from everyone.
I'll try not to trip.
So this certificate is given in grateful recognition to Teresa Davis for your dedication and 15 years of service to the town of Colonial Beach. That's fantastic. Thank you.
sir.
Here's a pen. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, next. Again, this is the jobs that mayors like to have right here. These are the fun part. I'd like to recognize Miss Bertha Payton for her 20 years of service as administrative assistant to the Town of Colonial Beach Police Department. If you didn't know, for a very long time, you really never needed a police officer. You just needed to talk to Bertha. That's really all you had to do. You could get most all your answers that you needed right there. You knew if you were doing something wrong, she could tell you were or not. So she has helped this community tremendously. She's been a huge part of this police department. I've never heard of anything other than how great a worker you are and how much of a team player you are. And for that, I really respect that. Thank you very much. And
Thank
on
you.
behalf of the town, thank you.
Thank you.
Have some? Yeah. You want to come up here, Chief? Please. Okay, let's see, yeah, we can do this. And this says, this certificate is given in grateful recognition to Bertha Payton for your dedication and 20 years of service to the Town of Colonial Beach Police Department. Oh, they messed that up on the bottom. We'll get that fixed up. But anyway, that's what it says. Yeah. And then here's your pen.
Thank you.
And here's your plaque.
Thank you.
And here's your check. Thank you, Bertha. Okay, we'll continue with presentations. Mr. Turner, Colonial Beach Schools.
Good afternoon. I really don't have too much to say tonight. Just congratulations to the two recipients for 15 years of service and 20 years of service. Things continue to go pretty smoothly for us at the school district. And to the parents watching tonight, we put out a survey for all of our parents to complete. It's posted to our website and it's also posted to Facebook. And we would greatly appreciate their response. And other than that, that's it for us.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Turner? No? Everything's going okay though?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No complaints here.
All the bugs out. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
All right, bye-bye.
Planning Commission? Oh, yeah, I might do it. I'll get it next. Yeah.
Good evening. I wanted to give an update on what the commission has been doing lately. We're having a work session tomorrow, and we're looking at really 5 key issues that we're going to be discussing. One is, of course, the update for the capital improvement plan. We're trying to keep on track so that we can get our public hearing set and then forward our recommendations on to you. And of course, we're really focusing on Public Works, and would like to have Public Works present at our commission meeting as well as the town manager, so we can put a really good comprehensive plan, a capital improvement plan together for you. We're also looking at issues identified at the last town council meeting, of developing an impact fee for development and looking to offset some of the costs for stormwater management and the creation of a plan. We're also looking at, and we'll be discussing, adding Eleanor Park to the comp plan and making a determination of how that land should be used. And lastly, our update on the comprehensive plan, which has been the bulk of the work that we've been doing of late. We have the help of the Northern Neck Planning District Commission to assist us with that. John Bateman is the key one that is assisting, as well as the Virginia Coastal Policy Center out of William and Mary that is partnering with Graft. And they are working in conjunction with John Bateman on revising and going through our draft of the comprehensive plan. And we also have a conditional use request for Beachgate. We're not sure of the status of that, but we'll be discussing that tomorrow. And then we're looking at a presentation from the Dotson Development Group at our next commission meeting.
The one tomorrow or next
That'll be on the 24th.
Yeah,
24th?
Yes.
This is already pretty,
they're excited.
okay, good. Let's make sure we advertise right now.
Any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Westmoreland County Supervisor? Tim, I didn't mean to skip you.
I'll get over it.
How would you like?
Well, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I do want to make a general statement since Ms. Schick said she contacted the county. Because there's been a couple meetings down there, and I haven't been invited to them, and the county's a little concerned about, they look at me as your liaison, not that I represent you, but I mean, if you're going to have a council member doing that and contacting the county every month, maybe they can throw you in and I don't need to be here. But I mean that in a nice way. I don't want to waste my time, doing things and then come here and somebody else is going to present. I was contacted by the town manager before the meeting he had. I couldn't be there because I had a prior commitment, but I would have been there. And I would be there for any of you that want to have a meeting with the county. But the chairman of the board down there has informed me that I am the liaison for the county. Obviously I'm new, and I understand that and I have a lot to learn. But any of you can contact me. You don't have to call Norm, you don't have to call Mr. Fisher. I'm not saying that you're not welcome to do that, but if I'm not included in that and then something goes wrong or somebody says something, I can't defend you, I can't take a position on it because I'm not going to take a position on something I'm not a part of. So I'm just making that general statement, and there's no animosity. I just want to know what you want me to do as a representative for the town. I understand I represent all the people, and I'm not going to speak for the town council unless you ask me to do that. But there's some things like COVID that's I think been very important to all of us that have actually spoke out on several occasions. So I'll leave it at that. And I mean, if y'all want a representative to represent you and to present to you from the council, I'm fine with that. I won't hurt my feelings. That's something y'all need to decide. At the September 14th Board of Supervisors meeting, the Director of Social Services attended that meeting. She was here at the community center and met with several town residents. I think she said there was 7 awards that were granted and I didn't understand whether she meant countywide or just townwide, but for such things as utilities, transportation, and rent. So they are actively interacting with people in the town and trying to meet their needs in any way possible. So I would just say that she said that area where they were was a little bit small. I guess maybe some people showed up, and I suggested that she contact the superintendent at the school and maybe can use the gym. And since I speak about the school, I just want to tell you, it was very heartwarming to hear all the candidates last night and their overwhelming support for the school system. And it's dear to my heart. It always will be, no matter who's up there or who's out here. It was just very, it was very pleasing to see that. and there's some great candidates running, and I think some of you that may be going off will, you're gonna have some really talented people that's gonna represent our town. And I was glad I was able to go there and see that, even though I couldn't be there on Monday for the candidates, for mayor. We had a meeting that night. I don't know if you wanted me to talk about COVID funds right now or not, or whether that's gonna be at another time, but we did take some action on COVID. I just wanted to let you know there was a resolution of support to the Transportation, Department of Transportation. They're gonna create a turning lane at the entrance to Placid Bay. That's Ferry Road right there, 638, Ferry Lane Road. It's the one that's closest to, that road makes a circle, but it's the one that's closest to Oak Grove. That's on their 2022 plan. So they didn't give a date when they were gonna do it, but there's gonna be 2 turning lanes going each direction. So I think that'll be a positive thing because of the hills and everything there, and there's been numerous accidents there, so that's a positive thing. I wish, and I will encourage them when I get to talk to them about maybe looking out here at this end of the drag strip road. As many people probably know, there's been multiple accidents there. And it's gonna be some fatalities before it's over with, and there was almost one there the other day. Pretty bad accident, and I've been out there many accidents, so I mean, I don't know the solution, whether it's a traffic light but that turning lane you can't see, and people pull right out in front of you, so I'll just say be careful when you're there. The other thing I want to let you know about is Dawn Jenkins, who's the register, the voter registrar down there at the county. They redid that office down there. For anybody that's been in that office, it's very small, but they've actually beautified it, made it really nice. They have plexiglass now, and they have it closed off as offices to protect the public as well as them. She announced that, and I think hopefully you've been provided a copy of it. It was a public notice that was put out about the voting for November the 3rd. It's going to begin on September the 18th, and it's going to continue through Monday through Friday until October the 30th. And the office down there will be open from 8:30 to 4:30. There's a couple Saturdays before election, the 24th and 31st. It'll be open. And she also said that this year you don't have to have a picture ID. If you have a piece of mail or anything at all that has an address on it in the county, you can vote if you've already registered. So, and Senator Stewart was there and said, there was strong opposition to that bill, but it passed. So this year, if you don't have a picture ID, you don't have to worry about it. It's something to do with no excuse. It used to be you had to give an excuse why you're voting early, but you won't have to do that this year. Did you want me to say anything about the COVID funds at this point, or?
What's that?
I mean, we can,
Yeah,
I mean, if we want to go ahead and have that conversation now.
while you're here, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, the board approved the expenditures that were submitted by the town. And as a result of that, it's a balance of $70,379.16 that's left over in the first round. Also at that meeting, we did a resolution and approved revenue and expenditures in the new amount that we just got. And it's the same amount, $1,571,739. I would just tell you that it's broke up exactly the same way it was last time. The town's being dedicated $313,090.40, and you already know what that means. Anything that's a countywide function, they're going to take 19.92% of that, and there will be such things as the sheriff's department needs and social services needs and those kind of things. So that didn't change. The county keeps 77.92% of that money, and the town of Montrose gets 2.16% of that money, and that's how it's divided up. So, having said that, though, I think that the town manager, there's some good things that's coming out of this anyway. I think that where it's not all negative, and he'll be able to share that with you.
And thank you, Mr. Trevor. This is a great time to talk because I think there's synergy between multiple parties here. And Lisa will be able to go over the numbers. I was able to meet with the county administrator on Monday. Mr. Murphy accompanied me. It was very positive outcomes in that meeting. First and foremost, it looks as if we're going to be able to utilize the COVID money on things that we did not forecast or that we didn't anticipate being able to do. Some of the things that are unique, but we're sharing is because of all the tourism that we've experienced, and apparently the county has seen an increase as well. they were able to positively identify, and this is a very innovative way to look at it, but due to the wastewater going up, it showed that the population boom that we experienced in the summertime was far more than what it was in previous years, which lets us then say that the additional infrastructure strain that we've experienced over the summer can be written off as a COVID expense, and that's pretty healthy for us, especially since infrastructure is a hot topic right now. In addition to that, one of the county initiatives that they're doing down there and that we've been authorized to do is start doing handless access into town hall. So what does that mean? That's basically new doors. I think we all know our doors are less than desirable and shabby, but we can get new doors with the keypad and handicap push, and they're willing to do that because it supports the less contact and less COVID spread. And that's huge. That's something that we've wanted to do for years, but really couldn't justify it when we had bigger items that we had to go after, and COVID's going to be able to go after that. The county administrator shared with me, which I'm super excited about, that staff has spent countless hours since the beginning of the state of emergency. And we're going to go back and be able to document staff's time on how much we spend on a weekly basis and get those hours reimbursed. And that's pretty massive. The one thing that the county administrator checked with other municipalities that we weren't able to do, and it's somewhat understandable, is that we can't write off the law enforcement time, the additional law enforcement. But if we put those on a scale where we were a month ago versus now, this is a huge win for us. In addition to that, Mrs. Schick mentioned during that meeting that I had with the county administrator, he was more than willing to go help us 50-50 on the window, the front window, which is damaged to the library. And I'm glad you brought it up, Mr. Trivett. I didn't know this, but I actually had a conversation with the county administrator as well, trying to support some location here temporarily for the social services. He believes and forecasts that out of the total social service activity related to COVID, roughly 50% of it is in the town. I felt like it was our responsibility to provide space for them to operate for efficiency and just to support the citizen. So I'm going to suggest to council that we can either use this space in here or the conference room for the library, depending on what their needs are. And if for some reason that doesn't work out, I think we have some non-government organizations that enjoy some real estate. I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe the chamber, somehow, some way that we can't support that social services, which ultimately helps the citizen for a very short time period. So I mean that's a lot to digest and a lot to bring in, but I think those were the positive elements that came out of that meeting, and I thoroughly enjoyed the productivity of it. And thank you. I did have copies made about the voting register with flyer out on our website for everybody to download as a PDF. Thank you for getting that to me.
Yes, sir.
Pending any questions, I'm going to kind of hand it over to the CFO who can talk dollars and cents.
Okay, the handout I gave you shows the county's CARES Act spending, which includes our spending. The items in red were the items that they approved for payment at their Board of Supervisors meeting on Monday. And for that, it included, if you look at my breakdown, the items highlighted in yellow will be reimbursed for. So there was everything that was sent in starting on 8/18 through, all of it was sent on 8/18. Through 9/10. They're reimbursing us. There's only one item that they hadn't added, which was the hazard pay for the last week of August. I'm sure they'll get to that. If you look at the numbers again, we have spent $121,433.42. Still waiting on reimbursement, $38,698.96, which the bulk of that is going to be coming in the next few weeks. And according to the county, of course, we only have $70,000 left of our $313,000, but according to our calculations, we have $191,000 left. So depending on how we want to go with that issue, being as we've just got another round of money and they're being quite cooperative, I don't know how we want to, how we want to proceed with that.
And I should caveat that by, and this is just informal, that the county administrator assured me that if we're able or exhaust our funds with the additional things that I mentioned a moment ago, that he's more than willing to sit down with me and talk about it. But the main thing is to take care of the municipal structure as best we can. This is great news, but this also means now we're going into probably a 2 to 3 week acquisition push at the staff level. So we're going to be extremely busy procuring, because we do have a December deadline, and November, I think we all know, gets a little lanky with elections, and that's when Thanksgiving is, so we have to take the month of October in these last couple of weeks of September and really go into acquisition mode for multiple items.
I'd like to say first, thank you to all involved in it. If you would just reach out to Mr. Trivett at any point in time. But I'm sure that the two of you can share the synergies with us as well, which, with the county. As far as the finding a place to utilize for social services, is that something that you think we could do with one of our local churches who's already involved in the food bank and probably deal along the lines with a lot of this?
Well, to be honest,
Okay.
the school,
I don't even know. Tell me to what extent kind of services are provided in
we discussed it very briefly. It sounds like it would be multiple personnel. I take that as maybe 4 to 5 personnel would be up here servicing the citizens in some location that has a office setting. I think Mr. Trivett's idea about the school is a perfect fit. I just want to be able to provide a backstop if the school's unable to for liability reasons. I don't know if there's anything there.
Quinn, you're talking about administrative
Just
service, right?
administrative.
It's not like medical. It's
No, medical,
help
just
them fill an
Strictly
application,
administrative.
things like that.
applications, just paperwork.
I think we can probably do that a lot of places. If the Wi-Fi here is good, we can probably do it here as well, so.
But Mr. Trivet, just let me know how, or Mr. Turner, I think the school's a wonderful fit, but if for some reason from a liability standpoint that falls through, I do think we have options here.
Do we know if this is for county citizens as well, or is it
Yes.
just for the town?
Well, I think the idea is that they want to have a satellite office here to service this geographic region. I don't think it would, if somebody lives 2 miles outside of town, I think they can use these services as well. And that's what it was intended to do, just have that satellite office to reach out to this epicenter.
It makes sense. Okay.
Once a week or twice a week or?
No, I think this
Monday to
is setting up,
Friday?
Monday through Friday, setting up offices, or at least that's the way I took it. Now that could change. But I do think it has a dead date, right? So I think this is like around December, it goes away. So this is not a permanent,
Right, this is just for
This is
the COVID.
to get over the hump.
So good money to
Yeah,
spend.
how much space is needed, do you know? I mean, did he say?
I'm gonna look to Mr.
Well,
Taylor.
and I'm not sure either, but I think the director will reach out to you.
Yeah.
And you've already had conversations with her in the past, I think.
Yes.
So, I mean, she'll be able to fill you in, and I'll be more than glad to contact her tomorrow and find out, but I think she's planning on coming back up again and meeting with you.
The reason I say this, we do have a couple properties that we are not using because of COVID, which, like the tourism trailer down here at the end of Hawthorne, which has some parking as well.
Sure.
And, I just don't know how much room they.
Well, I think they were looking for something maybe bigger than the community center, and it's a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
So, because maybe it was just too many
Okay.
people that came was the
Sure.
reason. She didn't really say, she just said she was trying to find a bigger area.
Okay.
Or another area, so, but it'll be easy enough to touch base with her and find out exactly what her needs are, and then
All right.
collaborate with the town manager.
We'll stand at the ready, so
Yeah.
we're
Thank you.
prepared to.
Mr. Mayor, I work for the Department of Human Services in Orleans County, which also includes social services. And one thing we have to look at there is that it needs to be an office setting, and there is a level of privacy there, as well as HIPAA regulations that have to be met when you're interviewing, if people are doing applications or whatever. So we're going to have a big enough space to where if there is an actual interview, an application process, whatever, that needs to be done within the social services worker as well as the person that's here seeking services. So I don't know what we had to offer. My first thought was a community center as well, until I looked at it a little bit further. And I'm thinking probably classrooms at the elementary school would best benefit the needs that need to be done for social services.
Well, and the only thing I'd say about that is I haven't talked to Mr. Turner about that. So I don't know if there's anything that will, you know.
Back there wide-eyed.
So honestly, it would be anything that could disrupt the school during the day, you know, with the virtual learning and everything, but he would be, I'm sure that, you know, at least I'm pretty sure that if he could offer it, that he would do that. But it was just a suggestion, it wasn't anything saying that was
Okay.
you know, a place for him to use, but I think it is a good place to use if he can make it work. Anybody have any questions for me about anything before?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank
Thank you, Tim. Next is downtown Colonial Beach, and Joyce can't be here, so she gave me this fairly lengthy so I'm gonna, I highlighted parts of it that I thought she would be okay with. So unfortunately, they can't be here. She did say that we were awarded a Main Street Affiliates grant for conceptual designs and marketing for the downtown by the DHCD. We are currently collecting input from local community organizations who have been reviewing existing town planning documents to identify what still applies, seems obsolete, or is missing from these documents as it pertains to downtown development. Next, she writes, regarding the historic surveying of downtown and historic district application, we've been informed by the Department of Historic Resources that they are soliciting proposals for the work, and when they have them to set up a meeting with downtown Colonial Beach, the Historical Society, and town officials to select a contractor who will carry out the work. Next, she writes, in the RAFT discussions with town staff and community organizations, downtown Colonial Beach emphasized a need for technical assistance related to planting trees and landscaping along Colonial Avenue and throughout town. RAFT coordinators connected with downtown Colonial Beach and the town manager of a green infrastructure graduate program and institute out of the University of Virginia. So I guess they're organizing a group out of University of Virginia. They selected Colonial Beach as a study town for the 2020-2021 year or season, whatever. They will conduct a comprehensive green infrastructure assessment in the autumn and offer specific design plans in the spring. We've received positive feedback on another grant, but are not at liberty to release the details, so we all have to wait with bated breath for that. We are delighted to report that the Colonial Beach Osprey Festival website and Facebook page now feature a charming and informative video on ospreys produced by the Colonial Beach Playhouse. It's intended for children, so get your grandkids and kids on there and take a peek. And again, thank you for the opportunity to report and your ongoing support, which is greatly appreciated, and which we believe is bringing in considerable amount of financial resources and expertise to the community. Thank you, Joyce. Chamber of Commerce. I won't make that mistake again. Okay, got me last time, won't get me this time. All right, Colonial Beach Community Foundation, okay?
Hi, good evening. Kathy Bachman, speaking on behalf of the foundation. Eric couldn't be here tonight. He sends his regrets. First, he appreciates, as we did the last two nights, working with the chamber. As someone who viewed him remotely, great job. Whoever helped, I think Maggie Lane and the schools and many people allowed us to view that remotely. So very good 2 nights. Another update from the foundation is I think many of you were aware that we were doing a benefit beach music concert for this Saturday. It's hard to tell Joyce Gunderson and I know. We continue to figure out how to do a COVID-friendly event. And Monday, Joyce got a call from the band that there was an illness in the band that was going to prohibit them from performing. So we have canceled the event. We will be refunding all tickets and sponsorship money, and we'll be back at it next year for a big festival. I will say Monroe Bay is the Entrepreneur Winery is going to play beach music this weekend on Saturday to invite people to come out and enjoy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Sorry for the show. Okay. Colonial Beach Recreation? I didn't see them, yeah. I'll see them at the farmer's market tomorrow, hopefully, right? CP Green Space, I think Steve is still recovering from his hip stuff, is that correct? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, new business. Is there a motion to rescind resolution 29-20?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Alger?
Aye.
Mr. I?
Aye.
Mr. Lehman?
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Roberson?
Yes.
Mr. Decker?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. All right, resolution 35-20 amends and appropriates fiscal year 2020-2021 budget general fund. This is the Wanderlove grant, which adds additional funding to our budget. When we do that, we have to do the budget again. So anyway, that's $10,000. I think we can thank Maggie, give Maggie
Yes.
thanks for that.
Yeah.
You want to speak on it a little bit?
Yeah, we'll be getting $10,000. We actually have already received the money for the Wander Love grant. And this is just like housekeeping. We need to do a resolution to bring it into the budget in order to spend it. So that's what this resolution is all about.
Very good.
And we'll be moving forward on that. Maggie's already done some things on it. Like you've ever seen her video? It's very nice.
Okay,
So,
very
do
good.
you have any other questions? No?
So there's a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Heard, Mr. Alger?
Aye.
Mr. I?
Aye.
Mr. Lehman?
Aye.
Ms. Roberson?
Aye.
Ms. Schick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. Resolution 36-20 amends and appropriates fiscal year 2020-2021 budget aid to local localities effort for the Colonial Beach Volunteers Fire Department. It's in tab B. This again is the same thing. They filed for grant assistance and were awarded a grant of $12,901, which is going to be extremely useful for the volunteer fire department here.
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Alger?
Aye.
Mr. I?
Aye.
Mr. Lehman?
Aye.
Ms. Roberson?
Aye.
Ms. Schick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you again. Resolution 37-20 adopts the infectious disease COVID-19 preparedness and response plan in tab C. Real quick, I want to say thank you to the staff for developing this plan. You got to have a plan for everything. Again, this keeps us in the forefront for funding and all the rest of it, and making sure that we're collectively keeping our people safe and the community safe. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one thing in review of the document. On page 4, the police department is at medium exposure risk, and I'm sure it was an oversight by staff, but I think they are covered under first responders, and they probably should be a high risk.
We spoke to Versa regarding this. We've had discussions with VOSHA and with Versa in getting this put together, because it has been mandated by VOSHA to have this put in place. And it was suggested that the police officers be put at medium. We spoke to department heads regarding the classifications, and they were all were in agreement with the direction from VOSHA and Versa over the classification.
Okay. What, I don't think we can supersede their classification, can we? Is that something?
No, we could. It's up to us to classify them.
Okay.
These are just recommendations from VOSHA and from Versa, who is our insurance company, on what other localities have been doing for their police department,
Okay.
their wastewater treatment, their public works, all of that. And it's kind of, there's a short definition in here on what they consider the risks. There's an even bigger one in the VOSHA document itself. And I think that kind of gives more of a reasoning of why they were putting police at medium.
Well, who makes these determinations for this?
It was done, VOSHA made the recommendations for,
So why doesn't VOSHA put first responders at a medium level? If there's not, if police aren't a first responder, then who is?
the thing with them is, if you look at the little thing, it's more healthcare is putting in the high or very high risk. They
Well-
kind of pretty much classified anybody in healthcare in those two, and everybody else, they're saying that well, I know they put first responders in the high on their chart too, but in the discussions with them, based on what they've gotten from feedback from municipalities, they decided that the police should stay at a medium risk.
Is it a?
I mean, if you would like it changed, we can change it. We can classify them at whatever we want to. It's up to us. We just took the recommendations from VOSHA and from our insurance company on
Okay,
these.
you wanna?
My concern is that, you know, a police officer is dispatched to a fight call at, somewhere here in town, and they get there and there's somebody actively fighting and there's nobody, he or she doesn't have a time to put a mask on, and then this person, once they get into the jail or take them to the ER for medical treatment, you find out that he or she is COVID positive, then that's an exposure and that's an automatic 14 days that person should quarantine. So,
I don't
it
have
just-
a problem changing it.
Yeah, it just seems
We
to
went
me
by the
like-
guidance we were given by those two organizations.
Sure, I just think that we should recognize them as first responders, which is where VOSHA says they are at a high level.
And we will make that change.
Okay, so, can we approve this now, or do we need to?
I think we can
I think we
approve
approve
those
just for the change we
Approve as
made in the
amended.
official document.
We'll approve it as amended. Okay, so.
Now, what I think what we will do is we'll circle back around with our insurance companies to make sure the reclassification of the law enforcement officers doesn't have any secondary or
Why don't
tertiary effects.
why don't we do this then? Let's not vote on resolution 3720 tonight.
I think they'll be okay with it. It was just guidance that they gave us based on the
Okay.
input they've been getting from other municipalities.
Okay,
It's up to us to classify our people.
okay, then we can, we'll just amend it.
As amended.
Okay, so you are gonna move the police department into. the
We will change this to a high
High.
classification.
So that'll be the amendment, that resolution 3720 as amended will also include police in the high hazard. Okay, you guys all right on that? Is there a motion to approve the amended version?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Alger?
Aye.
Mr. I?
Aye.
Mr. Lehman?
Aye.
Mr. Roberson?
Aye.
Ms. Schick?
Aye.
And Chair votes aye. Thank you, Dallas, for catching that as well. Okay, did we speak enough on the CARES Act tonight, do you think?
I believe so.
Good.
Unless you have any
Council
questions.
satisfied with that? No? All right, citizen input, I need a list. Oh, yeah. Every night's a closed session.
Oh, every night
Every
is
meeting
closed
will be a
session.
closed session.
Sounds like a
Till we.
We're already 3 for 3,
I know, right? As long as I don't have to sit in those chairs again.
Oh,
I'll
I
be
know,
good.
well.
Walter? Real quick, I just want to reiterate, folks, it's 3 minutes tonight because we got to go into closed session again, and we got out here at 10 o'clock, the last one. Not that we're complaining.
Well, I'm gonna get, history on the
Okay.
fire department.
Okay, thank you. We're ready.
125 years ago, Fredericksburg come down to Colonial Beach to help form the Colonial Beach Fire Department. And I'm going to read a list of names, starting off with the most famous fire chief we've had in this town, which was Joe Tate. J.B. Harrison, Bill Reed, Tommy Sutcliffe, Charles Catlin, Bobby Pearson. They are no longer in this department. They all passed away. My father, including Walter Parkinson, my father was the first president of this fire department. He served 42 years in this fire department. Walter Parkinson was the second oldest member in this fire department as president. We always had outstanding leadership in this fire department. The other members that I want to mention: Cecil Rhodes, Don Bradley, Ralph Trowbridge, Teddy Trowbridge, Jim Jett III, and our past president, Tim Tribbett. And I am a life member in this fire department. Do I exercise my authority when I walk in that building? Yes, I do. We have women in that fire department. We have paramedics. We have EMTs. And we have great leadership in my fire department. And I want to thank the town, whatever they do for my fire department. Thank you.
We'd be remiss if we didn't thank Chief Dave Roder too for all his years of service. He's still our chief now. It's a very difficult and sometimes thankless job for some hours. So thank you to the command staff as well. All right, with that, Paige Williams.
I'll be right there. I'm turning in someone else.
Okay. It's all right, take your time.
Hi, Council. My name is Paige Williams. My speech has gotten a little messed up tonight because of some changes you all said. So I'm going to read the parts that don't pertain to that. As a concerned neighbor, member of Irving Avenue Residents Association, we raised our opposition to the mobile home trailer park and the playground at Eleanor Park on July 29th, August 12th, and 19th of 2020. Our opposition was based on the lack of citizen input. I just want to say, if I start to get emotional, my mom is in the hospital. She has pneumonia, so just ignore me. I want to say to the council, thank you for rescinding Resolution 2920. I'm sorry.
It's okay, take your time.
You are my heroes now, and have restored my faith in democracy. I know that sounds corny, but that's how I feel. I can't read the rest. I gotta breathe. Since we requested to solicit public input to identify a solution for Eleanor Park, and at the last public hearing, the Vice Mayor recommended that the best course of action was to send the future of the park to the Planning Commission and conduct a traffic and parking study. We are asking that the fence at Castlewood is completed and that the bathrooms are fixed for park users. Rehabilitating this property will make sense to everyone and ensure its use until a final determination is made. The rehabilitation of this park will not be a huge investment and will ensure the kids of Colonial Beach can use this park during autumn 2020 and spring 2021. We have heard many members of our community, regardless of their preference for Eleanor Park, request that Castlewood is rehabilitated and put back to use for the sentimental value it has for many families here in Colonial Beach. This is an investment in our town and its history. We understand that this may be a temporary solution because as part of a master plan, there is a chance that Castlewood would be closed. However, the rehabilitation of this park, am I, time's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay, thank you.
To be fair, I'm really sorry, but thank you so much, and
Okay.
we appreciate you being so involved. We really do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, you bet.
Thank you again.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Just if it pleases council and the public, I can't speak to the Castlewood because that's going to the planning commission, but Public Works has had it on their schedule this autumn to refurbish the bathrooms.
Okay.
So we were just waiting for the off season.
Okay.
It's gonna be a total revamp of the bathrooms, make them a little bit more user friendly, certainly better aesthetics and so on and so forth. So I would expect them to be probably out of service for a week or two, sometime this fall, to be able to accomplish that task.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. What's that?
As Paige said, thank you. You are all my heroes too. Receiving 2920 was the right thing to do for everybody. When I came to this town 10 years ago. And when I came here, we were looking for a property to invest on. And immediately I looked in the website, look at this house, and I said, let's go and look at it. We looked at the house and I said, it looks like a doll house. It was small, tiny, doll house. We immediately put an offer, and within a week and a half or 2 weeks, we bought the house. It was our first house here. We continue our travels around the United States. We visited the 50 states because we were looking for a place to retire. The more we were coming here, the more we were falling in love with this place. Even by state 48, we decided that we wanted to retire in Colonial Beach. This is 7 years ago. And that's when we bought the other 3 properties. I have to say, in here we found friends, incredible, we found relatives, and continue to raise our family. Colonial Beach is a big family to me. And what happened is, let's move forward to July 18, 2020. So when we started being fired up because there will be a planned RV park in Eleanor Park, and we were all fired up. What happened after that? Oh my God, I could not believe it. People tearing apart friendships, people talking back to people, people cursing to people, neighbors fighting with neighbors for a piece of land that belongs not to one but to everybody. This is ridiculous. So, look, I have no interest in what happened with that land, really. I love it how it is, and I know whatever is done in that land, I will enjoy. And if it is so, I would love the infrastructure changes too. But there has been instability in this town, and we need to find out a way that we put all the history and all the facts of Eleanor Park out there, but because this cannot happen again. This town needs to be one town. It doesn't matter who you are. There's only 3,000 people, and we see each other everywhere. And we should continue being the family with whom I fell in love with. Social media has been used to do terrible things. Last night, a council member accused me of making false claims which were not false at all. And
Sorry. I know, sorry.
No, it's
It's, some nights we have to stick to it, so tonight we're sticking to it. Sorry. David Williams, thank you though very much for speaking.
The same with them. Thank you for rescinding Resolution 2920. I'm sure the whole town has that number memorized in their brains. At least I do. I spent a lot of time working to try to get that rescinded. So it kind of got me interested actually in local, not politics, but local policy. And it actually started making me think that if I don't pay attention, things happen, and then I don't know they've happened until I have a big parking lot in the back of my house. So thank you for waking up the public and making them realize that if they just sit home and complain, I mean, I've got, neighbors that complained about things over, and I was one of them. Like, what are they doing over there? What's that? Why is that there? And so now I'm going to be an involved citizen, and we're actually going to continue with our Irving Avenue Residents Association, and it's not to push the town around and be a bully or to be a nonprofit that goes around trying to influence behind closed doors. This is for the people. We're going to ask them, what do you think? Why do you like this? Do you not like this? And we're going to try to work with them and come up with resolutions and work with the town. And specifically with Eleanor Park, that's close to our homes. But I'll echo what Lisette said. I don't care what happens to that property, but I care if it's up to the townspeople. Because if you keep doing this behind closed doors, this 130-year problem's never going to go away. It's been literally in detention for over 130 years. So just let's get the whole town involved and ask them what they want, get input, and maybe we can even split it up and do something where they can all enjoy it. Maybe a little green space, a little bit of houses or something. But let's just, and also I witnessed, because I was working with Lisette, there's a lot of nasty comments going around on different social media, and I've seen a lot, even censorship. Something got put up there and taken down 4 times. So I think we definitely need to take a little breath, and I'm going to relax a little bit now, and I urge everybody else to do the same. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you all for your hard work that you do for the people. I know it's a thankless job sometimes.
Thank you, David. Real quick, I think I can speak on behalf of the council. One of the things that we would appreciate most from this day forward, and would have loved it in the past, is if each of you did your diligence and know exactly who you're speaking with, and that when you get all your decision-making diligence put together, that it's coming from people who actually own property or residents of this town, and that it's not being influenced by people outside of this town, which the social media sites tend to be influenced primarily by people outside of this town. They can't vote here, they don't own real estate, they don't pay taxes, they don't use the school, and things like that. So it's very important that you are getting the right information and that you involve taxpaying citizens. Santiago Montalvo.
Well, I was not even aware that I was going to speak, but I guess that's the power of the wife. She signed me down and she said you were going to speak. So, I was thinking of a couple of points. First one, police. Thank you for those, for the signs that you placed at the point, at the end of the point. I thank you for them. Enforcement. We need enforcement. Because with or without signs, I mean, the signs is like drink Coca-Cola. Really, they stop there, they stand there, they wait there, they load, they unload. every weekend. Now that the summer is almost over, fall's coming, I'm sure that that's not gonna happen anymore until next year. And I know that you guys are busy. I know because I have dealt with your guys several times on two of my properties. And fine people, fine officers, love them. And I know you're spread thin. So you have a gap that you need to close. When the budget comes, that's something that you need to look at.
Yeah.
Because if I see one officer going down the point in one day, in 24 hours, it's probably too much. Maybe two, maybe. So that's one. Second, stormwater drainage. I know that you have a plan for the 52 miles that we have here and that you're going slowly, and that's a multi-million-dollar project, I know that. But the point is getting worse by the day. My front yard, my backyard, there's swamps. And it's not only mine, it's probably all of them. There's nowhere where the water can drain into. The water cannot go back to the river, to storm drainage, nowhere. What's happening is, and I've been monitoring this for the past 5 years, is that there's a crack on in front of my house, 5019, and I've seen that crack growing bigger and bigger and bigger year after year. The road is sloping down towards the river, and I was talking to Robin on some time ago, and she told me that it's not the first time that road collapses. The next big storm is going to collapse. I'm telling you, the crack is just growing, and hopefully we're not going to have a fatality. But anyway, it's something to look at because the water in my yard has to drain somewhere. In my next door neighbor, the other one, the water has to go somewhere, and it's just sitting through under the road into the river slowly, and it's just taking dirt with it, and there's a lot of erosion. That's me. That's the engineering me. Third thing, like my wife said, we visited all 50 states. And we found a little house on 7th Street. We loved it. She called it a dollhouse. I called it a love shack. Because it was the time for when we could get away from family and kids and just have some peace and some romance, of course. Yeah, guys, come on. We're all adults here, right? Yeah. Okay. So we fell in love with that house, and then we bought another one as a rental property, and then we found the one at the point. We fell in love with it. We bought it. We're here to stay. We've been here since 2007, I think. So we're here to stay. I'm going to retire here.
I
So
need to fix you up. You're ready
Yeah.
to trade. But
And,
I want to say one thing.
yeah.
I love the whole 7th Street show. That's awesome. And I want to quickly tell you that one of the issues we have here is the water table has risen so much
Yes.
because of the water. And you weren't here in 16, but in 16 we had a storm called Lee. And Lee dumped 18 inches in 24 hours. And you're an engineer, is that right?
Yes.
So you understand hydraulics?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know how we have around the river on the fronts, we have the walls, the wooden walls that are built to keep people's property? Well, the pilings that hold those up snap from the land side outward, from the force of the water in the ground. So today what you're seeing is, right now the water tables are so high. I played golf the other day at Swan Point, and it won't go away. The water won't go away. There's nowhere for it to go. And that's what's happening right now. So the more inundation we get from the sky, rain, it's nothing to be absorbed. It has nowhere to go. And we can't empty it into the river because the river and the land are at the same level now. So
Yes.
that force holds it back. As you know, you're an engineer. So that's our real problem. What's going to save us right now is no rain for a period of time. That's going to get us back to some normalcy. And then we can start working on some areas that we know we have problems with even small amounts of rain. But what I think I just read we had the largest rainfall in August that we know in Virginia for a long time. So it's a mess. It's a mess everywhere. It's a mess everywhere. My sump pump, which didn't run for 5 years, started running and just hasn't quit. So, you know, I think we're all up against it, and it's a struggle again. It's one of those things, and the council, as hard as we want to work, we can't fix that right away. We can take little bites out of it, and of course the cost is tremendous. And even trying to borrow money at this point in time for repairs like that, or getting grants, they're really not gonna give it to you because they know a lot of it's an act of God or act of whatever you wanna call it. The environment, it's
Yeah.
environmental, so from the rain. But anyway, we discuss this all the time, you know. Our worry is the storm water and the sewer water getting mixed, which is what, we just had a truck in town with cameras. We're in the process of hiring this company who's gonna camera all of our sewer and storm sewer pipes to make sure where the breaks are. It only happens when you have inundation of water typically, so, at least it shows itself when you have inundation.
Yeah, it's gonna be some years before everything goes back to better.
Yeah, so that's where we are. Anyway, with that, thank you very much, folks. We are gonna, there's a motion to go into closed session. Is there a second? Okay, all in favor? Yeah. Sorry. I was excited.
There's a motion to go into closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Nothing in the subdivision shall be construed to the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter. The subject being the sale of town-owned real property.
Correct. Okay, is there a motion to go into closed session? Is there a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.